Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in this beautiful planet. We would like to welcome you to our 150th episode of HR Cafe. This is your Sunday talk show, online Sunday talk show that features HR updates and some very interesting and free webinar about any topics, no, actually, about management and HR training or learning and development and organization development. So today we will have a very, very interesting topic, and we would like to invite you, including your friends who are still not yet online, right? Invite them to join us today. With this our every Sunday habit, no? And this is your host, one of the four mentors and hosts of this online talk show. I'm Alan Cañete, and together with me will be also among the mentors si Ma'am Tina Coang. Okay, Ma'am Tina, good afternoon.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all viewers out there. Welcome to the HR Cafe. We'd like to welcome you and actually have a shout out on the comment section so we can give you a shout out at the show.
All right, thank you, Ma'am Tina. All right, ano ba po ang HR Cafe para doon sa ngayon lang nakapanood nitong Sunday talk show namin? This is a Sunday talk show that features different topics and different updates about HR in the Philippines, no? So, this is our, just I mentioned, 150th. Imagine, it started during the pandemic when Coach Darwin and another colleague, sino nga yung colleague natin na yun? Si
P. Burns.
Yes, ay nakapag-isip na gumawa nitong talk show na to in order to still cater to the members of Philippines HR Group, the largest Facebook Facebook based, should I say, based HR group, this based in Facebook. And nung mga panahon na yun, nasa mga 290, 280,000 members pa lang. But now we have grown exponentially and we are currently 310,000 members. More than 310,000 members. So, ito po yung bunga ng kanilang brainstorming, and they want nga to still cater to the members of the PHRG through this online talk show. And ayan, tuloy-tuloy po ito hanggang ngayon. And every Sunday, nag-miss din tayo ng mga konti, ilang Sunday lang, but continuous po yung aming program. And Coach Darwin is a multi-awarded HR executive with more than 20 years of progressive leadership and management experience working with top Fortune 500 MNCs or multinational corporations. He's a founder He is the founder and CEO of the Philippines HR Group Incorporated. That's a registered NGO, and ang amin pong corporate name ay Philippines or Phil HRG Inc. No? He is a certified life coach, public speaker, and motivational speaker, and HR consultant. And yours truly is Alan Cañete. Um, I am an HR, learning development, and organization development professional or practitioner in more than 30 years of corporate and freelance consulting experience. Let me correct that typo. I'm also the current president and managing director of Creative Moves Business Outsourcing, and also one of the board of directors of Philippines HR Group. Okay, and also one of our mentors is Ma'am Mentor Ronadale Florentino. Si Ma'am Rona, she has more than 20 years of HR practice, or sorry, more than 20 years of HR practice working in different local and international companies. She is the president and CEO of the Uprush Social Geekers, and she's also a public speaker and HR consultant. She's LinkedIn's one of the top 100 Filipinos to follow, right? And of course, we have mentor Tina Koang. She's the operations and HR leader. He's an operations and HR leader with broad local and overseas experience. General manager of a retail company, and uh, she actually has a she's also an online creator or content creator and blogger of tinainmanila.com and LinkedIn. She is also a top 100 Filipino to follow in LinkedIn. All right. So, um, the HR Cafe is actually a sabi ko nga kanina, Sunday talk show, no? A regular talk show conducted every Sunday that it provides timely news and updates. Our objective is to impart knowledge and experience that are value adding and beneficial to our audience. We discuss problems, issues, and challenges and provide answers and resolutions on HR topics that are trending in our group, no, the Philippines HR group. We also provide weekly free training via our expert and seasoned guest resource speakers. Um, we discuss new technologies, tools, and processes, as well as industry best practices. We bridge understanding between employers and employees and provide inspiration and motivation. And katulad po ng mga nakaraang linggo, tradisyon na namin na simulan ang aming show ng isang inspirational quote. So our wow quote for the week is people are not your people are not your most important asset. The right people are. And that is a quote by Jim Collins. He's the author of Good to Great. Ma'am Tina, would you like to share your insights about this inspirational quote?
Yes, this is a very good wow quote of the week. A lot of authors and business leaders say that people are their most important assets. But I do agree with Sir Jim Collins that says that the right people, hiring the right people that fits into your culture is much better than just recruiting people just to man a position. Because we all know that when you build a company, who you hire is as important when it comes to doing business, because when you hire the wrong people, you attract negative energy inside your company. And sometimes when you put people who are not compatible with the corporate culture, it is even more detrimental to everybody who's working there. We've always talked about toxic work environments, and I think this is a result of hiring the wrong people all the time. If we hire the right people who are a good match to our culture, good match to their jobs, you will get more leadway in making them work better because it's a good fit. And that's why I always say that what type of company you're working for is very important. Because if you're working for a company that you don't feel at home, you won't be able to stay there for the long run. But if you're with a company where you believe in its leaders, you actually like your colleagues, you like the work that you do, you think the company that you're working for, even though it's not the largest company in the world, you think that it's a very good company, then these are the sort of things that motivate you to stay. And with
Yes.
that, I'd like to also greet our early birds who have actually watched. So there is Miss Danny Rose Marciano. Hello, HR Cafe coaches, mentors, and guest speaker. It's now really now my Sunday afternoon habit. Miss Marian Serrano Villanueva says hi from Pasig City. And then we also
Hello.
have, hello, so mga tao, mag-shout out kayo ha. And then we also have Miss Sir Marlon Ocampo and Mel San Jose, who's greeting everyone. Hello. How about you, Sir Alan?
Yes.
What do you think about the well quote of the week?
I really like what you said, no? Talagang it's not just a matter of just hiring people, and at the same time, uh, parang you're just filling the blank. Then later on, you'll discover that they don't fit the culture of the company, and by doing so, you're instead of attracting good vibes, you're just attracting bad vibes for the company because these people are basically also attracting that no bad vibes, and that disrupts the company culture. For me, people are not just um, your I mean, people are not your most special asset according to the author of this quote. That is correct. This part of the quote suggests that merely having a group of individuals without considering their qualifications, skills, and fit for the organization does not guarantee success. No? In other words, having a workforce alone does not make an organization strong or successful. Kahit napunan mo na lahat ng mga job orders sa'yo, no? And yung ano lang sa'yo, ang objective mo lang parang routine siya, no? You just want to fill in the blank posts or the blank box in the organizational structure. Tapos kompleto, yes. Pero that does not guarantee a strong organization or a successful one. The right people that you recruit to fill in those positions is the one. You know why? This part of the quote, according to um, the author, highlights the significance of having the right individuals in the organization. The right people are those who possess the necessary skills, the necessary knowledge, the necessary attitude, and values that are aligned, no, with the organization's goals and culture. When you have the right people, they can be a valuable asset. Yun. And thereby, they can contribute significantly to the success of the organization and as well as its growth. So, in summary, this quote emphasizes that the true value of people in an organization lies in their suitability and alignment with the company or organization's needs and values. So it underscores the idea that having a high quality, skilled, motivated workforce is more important than simply having a large number of people, no? So quality matters more than quantity. Ika nga, Ma'am Tina, di ba? When it comes to personnel in an organization. Yun. So, also, we would like to share to you the HR question of the week. All right. And it says, can paternity leave be deducted from companies' paid time off or leave benefits? Ito ay isa sa mga trending topics ngayon in the group, no, the PHRG group. Ma'am Tina, anong opinion mo sa bagay na to?
With before I give my opinion, I'd like to greet Sir Enused Mataverde, who greets hello everyone. Hia Jumawak says hello from Bacolod City. Shaai says good afternoon, co-HRs.
Hello.
Joanna Villanueva Mateo, hello everyone. Shaai is from Waterwoods Group Corporation. We have who said, yes, I definitely agree. Not all employees are your assets. Only those who are the right people with the right attitude, values, knowledge, and love on their works are the right people. Kevin
Yeah,
Kiranta says hello and says, Shai says that's true.
it's
With
true.
this, alam mo nyo ba na may dalawang klaseng paternity leave in the Philippines? There's two types of paternity leave. The first one is from based on the Paternity Leave Act of 1996, which is a Republic Act of 8187. It allocates 7 days of paternity, father leave. If, number one, you're actually married, legally married to at the time of the child's birth. Number two, it is your legal spouse who has given birth or had a miscarriage. Number three, you must be cohabiting. So, for example, if you're not living in the same city or in the same house, yung asawa mo nasa probinsya, then you don't have that paternity leave. The claims can be made up to 4 births for legitimate children, and you've given adequate notice to the employer. The paternity leave can only be claimed 60 up until 60 days from your wife's delivery date. There's also what you call the leave that you get, the 7 days of leave that you can additionally get if your wife has SSS maternity leave and allocates you 7 out of the 105 days, leaving her with only 98 days of paid leave. This happens only when she's also working and you, as a father, is also working. You don't need to be married to get that 7 days. And in fact, it doesn't even have to be the father that can be allocated, it can be any other caretaker, babysitter, the mother, the grandmother. You can allocate that 7 days of leave if you wish. For me personally, sabi ko, bakit mo pa ibibigay yung 7 days na yun? You know what I mean? Kasi ang paternity, yung leave na dinadagdag from SSS, that's on the part of the employer. Just use one of your leaves na lang kaysa yung kukunin mo pa yung 7 days ng asawa mo right? But that's just my personal opinion. But to answer this question, can paternity leave be deducted from the company's paid time off? The answer is no. With Magna Carta and the paternity leave and any other leaves that is mandated by the government. That's on top, the solo parent leave, for example, that's on top of whatever leaves that you give. That's the reason why I always warn companies, huwag kayo masyadong generous magbigay ng leave. Tapos babaratin mo yung tao, pag mag-a-avail sila ng solo parent leave or paternity leave or Magna Carta leave, kasi feeling mo ang dami mo nang binibigay. If yung mga mandated, bigay mo. Yung mga hindi mandated, yung ikaw lang kusang nagbibigay, pag-isipan nyo. Kasi once na nabigay mo na yan, hindi mo na siya pwedeng bawiin. Touch move na siya. So, for everyone, 2 points. First, you can't deduct paternity leave from your company's paid time off. That's a bonus. That's an additional. But if the company doesn't really want to give, don't touch what is mandated by law. Only touch what you as a company can give. Huwag kayo masyadong generous if later on babaratin mo rin yung mga empleyado ninyo. How about you, Sir Alan? Sir Alan? Muted ka po.
Ma'am Tina, you mentioned that particular law. Can you mention again ano yung number na yun? Yung
The
government
paternity,
mandated law.
yeah, it's the Paternity Leave Act of 1996 or RA 8187.
Yun. Kasi under this law, the
Mm,
paternity leave is a statutory benefit,
mm,
which means that it is a right given to employees by the government. As
mm,
such, it should not be deducted from an employee's company provided paid time or paid time off or leave benefits. Hiwalay siya eh. Or
mm,
any other benefits such as vacation or sick leave. The
mm,
paternity leave is separate and distinct from employees' other leave entitlements. Kaya employers are required to grant paternity leave to eligible employees, which were mentioned kanina by Ma'am Tina, without any diminution of their existing benefits or privileges, which are entitled by the company naman separately. It's important for the employers to comply with these regulations and ensure that employees are able to avail themselves of their paternity leave without any negative consequences on their overall leave entitlement. So, in short, paternity leave in the Philippines, our country, kasi may mga iba ring nanonood from different countries, no? Dito lang, ito yung mga provision na binabanggit namin. Um, this is a separate benefit granted by law and should not be deducted from the employee's other leave benefits provided by the company. So this is in accordance with the labor regulations and principles of providing workers with statutory entitlements without encroaching on their existing benefits. Tama po ba, Ma'am Tina?
Yes po. And
All
with that,
right.
we're going to also have a shout out with Ma'am Michelle Marquez Marciano. Hello everyone from Dowen Group. We have Alexer Flores. Noted daw. We have Angelic or Daniel Dohelo. Good afternoon to our dear mentors and viewers of the HR Cafe. Joanna Villanueva Matea says, yeah, the company will pay for the leave instead of SSS. Yes po. Paternity leave is something that a company must pay its male employees provided that all the conditions are met. Daday Kalahe Dino is watching from Paranaque. Joanna Villanueva Mateo is asking about how about solo parent but still have vacation leave? Can they use it right away? Vacation leaves are managed by company rules. Solo parent, so long as you're eligible, you can use it. But there's actually a ruling on eligibility, so you have to check up on that. If you are
Mm.
eligible, you can check. You can avail of it. But you have to make sure talaga na solo parent ka. Kasi maraming mga tao, may bago ng jowa, may bago ng, alam mo yan, nabuntis na sa ibang lalaki, nagko-cohabitate na, pero naghihingi pa ng solo parent leave. A very
Mm.
critical part of the solo parent is you really must yun talaga yung right mo as a solo parent. Pero pag may tumutulong na sa'yo, hindi ka na medyo out ka na. So make sure if you're availing a solo parent leave, you are qualified for it. Kasi
Mm.
nakakasira talaga ng integrity pag nag-a-avail ka, pero hindi ka talaga
Yes.
totoong solo parent.
Totoo.
Jacinto Isaac Osit Chicano says hi as well. And for our announcement with Dole, good news for employees. There is now a new minimum wage in Region 2 Cagayan Valley. So dati kasi the current minimum wage rate was 420. So technically dadagdag daw ng 30 pesos na 15 pesos upon effectivity of the wage order and another 15 pesos on April 2024, which increases the new minimum wage to 435 and
35.
450. Okay?
Yes.
Effective to ng
That's for the
October 16,
non-agriculture, ma'am.
2023. Yes.
Yes,
We also have a new minimum wage rate sa Central Luzon. So it's typically around 40 pesos, which is almost 1,050 pesos on a 26-day basis. So tumataas na lahat ng presyo ng salaries po natin. So let us make sure that by October 16, we update our payroll. SOC CSK Sargen or Region 12 is also effective October 16. Dadagdag po siya ng 22 pesos per day. And with SSS, now you can learn about SSS benefits at your own pace, at your own time, and for free via the SSS Excel portal. You can learn about sickness benefit, maternity benefit, unemployment benefit. In short, you don't really have to do Google anymore to look for information. SSS freely provides these type of training so that you know what your rights are sa SSS. Next sir, sa pag-ibig po sir.
Pag-ibig. So, ano ba ang sasabi ngayon ng pag-ibig? Ito po yung kanilang update, no? Pag-ibig, you can go to virtual Pag-ibig website or get the virtual Pag-ibig mobile app for 24/7 service. Um, Pwede na kayong mag-apply online. And remember that you can get a multi-purpose, you can avail of the multi-purpose loan, um, because meron na pong loan application form that you can access in the website. You just need a one valid ID, proof of income, which can be any of the following: yung most recent 1 month pay slip, certificate of net pay found on MPL application form accomplished and signed by your employer, or latest income tax return. And another requirement is Pag-ibig Loyalty Card Plus or Land Bank Card, Land Bank Cash Card, no? So i-ready mo lang ang mga requirements tulad nito mga nabanggit natin, at mabilis lang ang pag-apply. Just download the application form at the Pag-ibig website, and to get more information, you contact them. You can contact them in their private channels, and they will remain open 24/7. Yung mga numbers po at detalye ay naka-display po sa ating screen. And you can even email them at contact us at pagibigfund.gov.ph, and also in their website www.pagibigfund.gov.ph. All right. And yun, ang alam nyo, ang pag-ibig ay iniibig ng napakaraming mga Pilipino na nagtatrabaho, sapagkat ang dami po nitong binibigay ng mga freebies. In fact, right now, you can enjoy the 10% discount on food and drinks on all company-owned branches kapag kayo ay meron nitong kanilang natawag na Pag-ibig Loyalty Card and Pag-ibig Loyalty Card Plus. So kung meron ko po kayo ng mga cards na yan, you can avail of the discounts of the participating establishments like Figaro, Angel's Pizza, Tien Mas restaurant, no? Uh, ito po yung simple lamang na mga ang pag-avail. You present your Pag-ibig Loyalty Card or Pag-ibig Loyalty Card Plus, then when you order, then you can already avail of them, no? Um, there'll be more discounts and more rewards. Meron din sa iba pang panilang mga partners, although hindi lahat naka-display sa ating screen ngayon. But the partners, the participating establishments, yung list po nito, complete lists, ay makita ninyo sa kanilang website. All right? At sa PhilHealth naman, ito, kung paborito natin ang Pag-ibig dahil maraming freebies, ang PhilHealth naman ay paborito natin dahil sa oras ng ating pangangailangan, mga mahigpit na pangangailangan, lalong-lalo na when there is hospitalization happening in one of the members of the families, no? Tapos meron siyang PhilHealth membership. So ay ma-avail po ninyo 'yan. So ang PhilHealth po ay isa sa mga paborito rin nating government agencies dahil kaagapay natin 'yan sa oras ng pangailangan. Kagaya ngayon, ito'y kinikilala ang 17th World Rabies Day, or how do you pronounce that? Rabies Day, no? At
Rabies.
rabies. Oh, yan. Correct pronunciation, rabies. All for one, one health for all, ang kanilang tagline. And ang rabies ay nakamamatay, ngunit maaring iwasan. So ang rabies ay naipapasa sa pamamagitan ng kagat o kalmot ng isang hayop, and madalas sa mga aso at pusa na may rabies virus. Kaya pabakunahan nyo agad yung mga alagang hayop para maging ligtas at tayo isang tunay na responsableng pet owner. So, ang sinasabi po ng PhilHealth para nun sa mga nakagat, no, hindi natin na kagustuhan, pero alam nyo naman, ang disgrasya ay nangyari, they provide 3,000 pesos bilang kanilang sagot sa mga nagpapagamot na dahil sa kagat ng mga animals, no, sa ilalim ng Animal Bite Treatment o ABT package. So ma-avail po ng mga members ito. So ito yung mga serbisyong kalakip ng pakete ay rabies vaccine, rabies immune globulin or RIG, local wound care, tetanus toxoid and anti-tetanus serum, antibiotics, supplies such as, but not limited to, syringes, cotton, alcohol, and other antiseptics. No? So para sa detalye, tumawag lamang sa kanilang phone number sa 0917-898-7442 o kaya i-contact sa kanilang mga other contact information like their email address, their website, and particularly itong kanilang email address sa actioncenter@philhealth.gov.ph o kaya sa kanilang website, makikita nyo iba pa mga information sa www.philhealth.gov.ph. Alright. So, Ma'am Tina, ito yung Infinite Care, no?
Yes po. So one of our sponsors is Infinite Care and the Philippine HR Group. The Philippine HR Group now has more than 300,000 members to date and is partnering with Infinite Care to promote mental health in the workplace and support the well-being in the HR community. The partnership will provide Infinite Care's mental health support platform to all Philippine HR Group members, giving them access to personalized self-care tools and resources, a chat helpline and virtual sessions with licensed counselors, psychologists and coaches. If you need more information, please do not hesitate to contact any of the moderators for access to Infinite Care. We will also
Alright.
have the Philippine HR Summit 2023 with the topic of the P3s, paradigm and perspectives on people strategy. We have a lot of very esteemed keynote speakers. We have Attorney Joe Fernandez, we have Sir June Mendoza, we have Miss Michelle Moral. Ang dami nating magagandang speakers talaga, not just as keynote speakers, but also in the panel. I am your event host for that event. So please do not miss it on October 13 on Friday, and it will be held at the Sheraton Manila Hotel, which is in Pasay City. I really hope
Alright.
that you can register now because it's really a very exciting event, not just in terms of learning, but also in putting a face to the name of the people that you're always seeing at the Philippine HR Group. We will also have a 2-day HR core training program, batch 3 in Manila, which we will tackle total rewards, labor relations, talent acquisition, and learning NOD. Early bird investment is 4,579 4,599. Discounted until October 15 is 4,799. And the group rate and the regular rate is 4,999. We also have the Philippine HR Group Leadership, Empowerment, Accountability, and Diversity, which is a 2-day program, which will happen on November 18 and 19 at the Discovery Suites, Manila. Early bird rate is 6,799 and the regular rate is 7,999. So sayang naman kung sasali kayo, might as well pay for the early bird rate, 'di ba? Para at least makatipid kayo ng medyo malaking amount. And
Yun.
with, 'di ba? Yun
And
yun.
Ma'am Tina,
Mm.
we are proud to tell everybody that the Philippines HR Group was one of the finalists in the 2023 uh, Gawad Maestro Award of Philippine Society for Training and Development for the most outstanding learning and development organization of the year for NGO category. Okay, so hindi man tayo nakakuha ng grand spot, yung grand winner spot, but to be recognized as one of the finalists, no? One of the finalists nitong category na to ay isang malaking karangalan. na aming tinatanggap at aming na-enjoy bilang isang NGO na naghahatid ng taus-pusong serbisyo sa mga miyembro ng Philippines HR Group at mga HR practitioners in general sa ating bansa. So congratulations everyone for being the finalists in Gawad Maestro Award of PSTD. All right, back to you, Ma'am
All
Tina.
right. If you have any questions for our format or for sponsorship, you can post at the Philippine HR Group Facebook page, and you can join our Philippine HR Group Facebook page and LinkedIn group page called Philippine HR Group. And now for our very main event, we're very, very pleased to introduce our guest expert and speaker for today, Mr. Richard Farmer of CXC Global. He is a managing. Richard has over 25 years of experience working within talent, recruitment, and HR solutions across all verticals and specializations. A highly skilled sales leader, Richard has led large recruitment companies and talent acquisitions teams and is a founder and an entrepreneur. He has achieved this experience working and living across APAC for the past 20 years. As CXC's managing director for Asia, Richard's role is to navigate the strategic needs of the talent landscape for both clients and candidates. His passion for customer service, customer experience, and a history of delivering innovative solutions lead him to achieve strategic business and individual goals by making your business better tomorrow than it is today. Richard is an executive coach, consultant, and facilitator, and he believes his critical advisory, consultancy skills, and strategic thinking are vital to providing the best solutions to all his projects, clients, and candidates. Richard is a firm believer in uplifting others, and he has helped many team members grow and achieve their career goals. Let's all welcome Sir Richard. Sir Richard, how are you?
Good
Very
afternoon,
well,
Sir
thank you.
Richard.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Tina and Alan, for having me on the show this afternoon. And happy Sunday, everyone. Hopefully, I'm entertaining on this Sunday afternoon and keep everyone engaged. But it's great to be here. Thank you very much.
All right, we'll turn over the floor to you. And then for everyone who's watching, if you have any questions for Richard or you want a shout out, please leave it in the comment box. So we'll give you a shout out in the show later after his presentation. We'll also make sure to ask any question you might have, just include it in the chat box. All right? All right. On to you, Richard.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Alan and Tina. Firstly, thank you to everyone that's online for having us, and big welcome from CXC Philippines, but also CXC Asia. Over the next 30 minutes, I wanted to share with you some real trends and insights around decoding global talent, and especially around the contingent labour market in Asia and especially the Philippines. We can be as interactive as possible. So yes, if you make any comments and they can be shared with me, I'll happily answer them. But we will have time for questions at the end. So don't be shy, please come forward. So I suppose from my perspective, the first thing that I wanted to share is really around CXC as a business. So um, from a perspective of a business, you kind of heard my introduction already. Yes, I've got 25 years in talent, and I have the privilege of leading CXC Asia across 11 countries. And I would think all of us would be the aspiring digital nomad as well. Would love to work in many different countries and being able to solve people problems. But I have been exceptionally lucky to live across APAC. I'm currently living in Singapore, where I have three children. So I apologise. It's a Sunday afternoon, so if I get a knock at the door, or you might see a little face appear on this camera, but it's all part of being a family. So let me tell you a bit about who we are. Who is CXC? So CXC is actually a 31-year-old company. We're actually global. We're in 31 countries now in 5 continents. Primarily, we are a HR consulting business where we solve people problems. We were born out of doing payrolling for technology talent in Australia. And over the last 31 years, we've grown across the region. In Asia, we're across the Philippines, Singapore, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, Japan, Korea, India, Taiwan, and Indonesia. So, across those countries, what we do is we help businesses expand by employing individuals in those countries if they don't have an entity. And then what we also do is that we can actually help find and source that talent. So, we have recruitment licenses in the Philippines, in Singapore, Malaysia, Hong Kong, Thailand, and Vietnam currently, and also Japan. And what we do is that we can help from an executive search perspective. We also have the ability to run MSPs. And if you're not don't know what an MSP is, that is a managed service provider. So we come in and manage the project and the program for contracting for your business. We also do recruiter on demand. So if a business needs search hiring, we can put talented recruiters on site or work remotely to help you find those individuals across the region. We're a business that really is focused on accuracy and compliance. We're privately owned, and we pay contractors in virtually every country now across the region. As a business, we're in a growth mode, and we see the Philippines as a special and critical and exceptionally exciting market that we want to invest in. So it'd be great to hear the questions at the end of the presentation. So what does it mean by our tagline, work right? The key for us is really always around making sure that we are working compliantly, we're working in the right way, that we treat the workers with right respect and make sure they're paid at the right time. We always look at making sure that any company we work with is a real partner, and that we really look like that we find the right people at the right time for your business. So what we can do at CXC, we can source and hire anywhere in the world, and we can engage all your contractors compliantly and make sure that you hit your strategic business goals through the talent you need when you need it. So in probably a bit more detail, you're probably asking, what problems could CXC solve for us? How could they actually help my business now? Well, what I'd like to just share is the problems we solve. So we can find your talent, as mentioned before. We can beat your hiring targets without breaking the bank. So we can make sure that we find the right solution for your business at the right price at the right time, be it contracting, be it permanent hiring, be it payrolling. We'll also make sure that we engage your contractors. So we'll enhance the power of the flexible workforce, bringing you the right talent at the right time, but also making sure that that you don't have high turnover, which always can affect your business, and make sure that those contractors are engaged with your brand, and also making sure that you're getting the skills you need. The hardest thing for anyone within HR when you're looking at contracting or contingent workforce is making sure that the worker is compliant and the payroll is compliant and the information is compliant. So we make sure that the compliance is at the forefront of everything we do, and make sure that the process is very clear and very simple. The most simple thing it can be, but across 11 different countries, 11 different cultures, and different currencies, is paying workers. But we make sure everyone gets paid on time every time. We can pay workers anywhere in the world at any time, and make sure that it's the right solution from a finance perspective for your business. If you want to invoice in a different country, make sure the worker is working on a project outside the Philippines, we can do that for you. The other thing that's very hard with contingent, or it can be, is we can also manage your workforce. So we can really simplify this management process by working with you in partnership, or your business, or as an individual, to make sure that the workforce is right. So that can be working with a worker that's new to market, making sure that they're got the right setup from a tax perspective, that they know how to start working in a new country. Or it could be working with a business that's entering into a new market, making sure that you've set up your business in the right way, or it could be a project that you want to outsource and be managed. So you only have one invoice, that you have consistent process, but you also get that it's compliant and you have a very high standard with that project. And we also can manage your suppliers. So currently we run MSPs globally. And what that means would be we can manage between 1 and 25 to 100 suppliers that are putting talent into your business. We make sure that the contracts are right, the contracts are compliant, that each supplier is being managed in the right way and being engaged with your brand, but also to make sure that the process is efficient and can make sure that it's all you get your talent in the right time at the right place. Okay, so what does it mean? Let's get into the kind of stats and trends that we're seeing in the current market. And please, as I said, ask any kind of questions you want. So what is decoding global talent? What does it really mean? The biggest thing that we see at the moment is the inconsistency between the type of talent organizations demand and the number of workers that are willing to meet those demands. These are the shifts in the global talent market. These have been further accelerated by the pandemic that we've now come out of, but they are forcing organizations to rethink and redesign how work gets done. Flexible work arrangements are massively replacing traditional employment structure with more talent switching to remote-based work. So I'd ask you, have you seen more people looking at remote or hybrid within your business? But we've all seen the major change and a major trend. But it's specifically, if you look at Asia, which is probably the most interesting to everyone on this meeting or this call, we see a structural gap between the number of job openings currently and the number of traditional employees able to fill them. What is the solution to achieving the strategic talent goals? How are we going to find the right talent for your business? Will your organization be left behind in the remote flexible working paradigm shift? What we'll do over the next 20-30 minutes, we'll really be painting a clearer picture of how organizations and how CXC could help you and the workers move forward in this current climate, be able to engage flexible workforce, how to get benefits for your business, and really look at how global contracting is growing in importance across the region. And really will explain how to access the global and international talent for your business, which is the key thing as well. So let's have a look at what's actually happening globally. So we've seen an increased desire for flexible work and for more meaningful work. So you can see the stats that are coming through. These are from Marsh and Mercer. But the question I'd ask to you, and really you can ask to anyone in your team, would you consider contracting as a next career move? Would you take a fully remote role? Also, would you consider a flexible or hybrid working arrangement, or do you already have that in your organization? And could it be, as they've done in the UK, would you look at bringing in the 4-day week? These are all questions that are top of mind, and you should be asking in your business, is it something you're currently doing or something that you'd like to do? So as we see the world of work evolves, the global workforce trends are moving towards a more flexible work environment, where a worker is employed under a contract or on a temporary basis. Now, this isn't just blue collar, this can be white collar, it can be an engineering, it can be a CEO, it can be a CTO. It now spans the full breadth of the whole business. So contingent workers are not employees of your company. They can be, but they obviously get hired and they perform through a contracting business. This could be a recruitment company, it could be CXC, or it could be through their own business, which we call an agency of record or a sole trader. Now, why would you employ a contractor? Because they're coming in to do a specific task. And these are the people that can come in. So this could be temporary or gig workers now, freelancers or independent contractors. The main thing, it gives you a less barrier for expansion in your business. Well, let's look at some of the trends. So 71% of professionals say they would consider taking a pay cut to work in a company that aligns more with their values. So this means that the workers are now looking for companies that are more aligned to flexible working, looking at more flexible solutions, but also very much aligned to their own values. Also, if we look at this, 35% of executives do not have a permanent desk now in the office. So I'd ask you, how many of your businesses now are actually having flexible working? But also 41% of businesses are planning to increase flexible working. So if your business is not looking at this, you could be left behind in the war on talent. So why are more organisations are hiring contingent workers? And this is very interesting. So 82%, which is very high, are reporting that skilled contingent workers make up half or more of their contingent labour force. So as we're seeing, it is not blue collar, it is not entry level, it is actually their skilled workers that they're looking at in their contracting workforce. So these are people that can add value to your business. They're workers that can really push your business to hit those strategic goals as well. Then if you're looking at also the average of organizations reporting on their contingent labour is making up 28% of their workforce, which is nearly 30% of all people within their business are now actually contractors. Also, on average, the expected use of contingent labour will increase the next 5 years, will increase up to 36%. So we're seeing a rise. So you want to make sure your business and your HR team really understands what are the nuances and the ways that these are growing. And 58% of APAC companies are gradually turning the contingent workforce to overcome headcount shortages. What we're also seeing is people moving to contingent workforce because they can bring in talent from overseas. They can also make sure that it's sitting off their P&L so they can make their business more profitable, and they're bringing in the workers that are skilled to do the work in that timely manner and bring it across. But where are we seeing the biggest growth in CXC? What sectors are we seeing the growth within contingent workforce? So, of course, technology has always been the leader within contingent and contracting, but we've seen a really large rise in civil engineering, real estate, renewable energy are moving towards this contracting market and economy. What we also see is what roles are we seeing that are actually being used as contingent. So we've seen a rise in customer success, sales. And for people on this call, we've seen a large rise, especially in North Asia, in HRBPs, especially if they want to bring in a senior HR person to do a transformation with their business and change what they're looking at. So it's a large area. Also within talent acquisition is another large trend we're seeing coming into the market. So moving on. So we see that the market is moving towards more contingent labour. And I know that people say within culturally, why, we have to change the mindset for people to come into the market as contractors. But what we are seeing is it is now one of the first things that graduates are looking to do because they can try before they buy in organizations. We've also got an aged population. And that is one of the biggest growth areas for contingent workers, bringing highly skilled people back into the workforce to solve business issues. So what's happening in the Philippines? I'm sure everyone on this call is actually seeing it more than me in terms of every day. But 74% of organizations in the Philippines are in the process of implementing flexible work options. That's a fantastically high number. And it's great to see that we're looking at the work people within our business and seeing how can we engage and bring them into their business. But it's also, this is much higher than those recorded across Asia, which is sitting around 50 to 56%. So that means the Philippines are leading in as a country in remote work. And this could be because of the geographical size of the business, but also the rise in talent and what people are looking for. So it'd be interesting to hear if that's what people are seeing. Also, we were seeing 60% of high-level corporate leaders are not confident that their business can overcome unforeseen workforce challenges. Hence, make investments in strategic workforce planning, making a top priority for HR leaders this year. So, if you are a HR leader, is this a conversation you're currently having? Is this something that is a priority for you? Because what we've seen at CXC, and we're working on a number of projects in the Philippines, is the war on talent for technology talent, for pharmaceutical, for project-led talent is exponential at the moment. Companies see the Philippines as one of the most exciting markets, especially for their offshoring, for them to put a center here. And that's because there is a large amount of talent here. But what we can see is that talent still being utilized? Can we get those individuals into work faster? But that is a key piece now, is that if you can, one priority would be for your business as an advice is workforce planning of your contingent workforce, because that'll help you engage the people that are supplying it. It'll engage the workers, because if you want to make sure you don't have attrition in contracting, you want to make sure the contractor knows with enough time that they're going to be kept on, or kept on the project. Because if they don't, they'll start looking for a new role, and at the end of the project, they will leave, which means you lose that IP of that individual. So, a top priority is that workforce planning for your contingent workforce, and making sure you're engaging your suppliers so they understand what you need, so they can get ahead of the curve and start hiring for you or talent pooling for you before you need it. So, what is the rise of the contingent workers in the Philippines? So, when we say contingent, just to reiterate, we mean contracting. So, 96% or 1.83 million overseas Filipino workers are contingent workers. So, I suppose to understand that, we would be saying, oh, but they're not in the Philippines. But what you'll see of this 1.8 million workers, they will return to the Philippines and still be looking and understand contingent work, because contingent work for contractors, and this could be in the healthcare sector, it can be in technology, it can be in renewable energy, all projects that we worked on, working with the Philippines team to actually find Filipinos that want to move overseas and to fulfill the project needs in India, in the US, Australia, especially around the kind of healthcare sector. So that's a massive amount of individuals and skilled labor that is outside the country. But also, this could be a great pool of talent for you to bring back into the country to actually help your business as well. Next piece is 73% of APAC CEOs believe that upskilling their workforce is the number one priority of the business. So, how do we upskill, and how is this relevant? So, if you're bringing in contingent workers and they have the skill set, that will mean that if you're bringing a higher skilled person for a short amount of time, they can actually work and upskill the current team, so you can really build the business into what you're looking for. So that can be a real advantage for your business. But looking at the Philippine Statistics Authority in 2022, with those overseas workers, 96%, that what that means is the global standard is way above the national standard in most countries. So that means the engagement of contingent workers globally is fantastic. Also, from another study that we saw, that the from Upwork, and shows that remote work has the potential to increase your productivity in your business by 63%. So if you're looking to how you're going to upskill or actually to get more productivity of your team, again, contingent workforce could be actually the answer. So the last point here on this slide, 40% of businesses in the country are currently utilising contingent workers to address their staffing needs. So what about the other 60% of the businesses? This is something to, as a HR community, this is an area of talent that we should be engaging and looking at to see if this could actually help or fulfill your workers and your business needs, because this could also really affect the ability to grow the business, to find the talent, either in country or remote. It'd be a great opportunity to discuss. And if you ever want to find out some of the reasons why, please reach out to me or the sales teams in the Philippines. So we'd love to be able to help you to answer these questions and queries. Okay, so you've heard about what's happening in the market. Obviously, there's a paradigm shift towards moving towards hiring contingent workers. So why are the clear benefits of bringing them in? What could it be happen to your business if you're not already utilizing contingent workforce? Most business leaders in APAC reported their intent to expand their staff ratio of contingent workers the next 2 years by 15% and above. So the race for talent for these workers is on. But the reasons why is they're often see contingent workers are rewarded same or better than regular employees, right? Optimizing cost is a key driver for contingent workforce deployment, and contingent workforce can be a core component of a totally integrated workforce strategy. So the primary reasons for adopting contingent workforce in Asia, it builds you a specific skill set in a short-term project basis from a few months to 2 years, which means you can hit your project goals. And then they're not a permanent employee, but they bring in their skills and they're very focused and accountable to delivering that project. Also, it values the time to evaluate your hiring and individuals within the business to make sure they are the right fit and the right culture fit. It offers you and your business flexibility for workforce planning. And also, it fills roles without disrupting operations. So you can bring people in very quickly without having to wait for notice periods, longer period of time to actually bring in and engage the worker. So next would be, what are the hiring challenges that can be resolved? So the top challenges with using contingent labor and the top reasons for sourcing contingent labor. So these are the answers to these questions. So finding specialized talent. So actually 57%, if you're looking at contingent, gives you greater access to specialized talent. So it's already 57% more chance of you finding the right talent because you're looking at contracting. Ensuring the consistency of work quality. This is always a pushback from hiring contingent labor or trying to look at where contractors could fit in your business. But actually, you'll get an increased quality of work because the one thing a contractor is judged on, especially those skilled contractors, is the quality of the project. Have they finished it? That is their portfolio. They can't sit back and just not be focused on outcome. They're being paid to come into your business and give you an outcome. Time to hire, managing turnover. I'm sure it's everyone's sleepless nights on this call that, we have attrition, we've got turnover. How do you engage our people? You can start looking at your own freelance talent pool. So building that talent pool of great people. So when something happens, you can bring them in short term, which stop stress of your current team if they're low on headcount. You get someone into the business that can actually come and help the business very quickly and deliver those work skills. Then labor cost. Actually, contingent work can reduce your costs because you know what you're paying for. You're only paying for the person for the time they're actually delivering the project. Also, work quality, skills, actually, and management. How do you manage them? Well, it actually increases the hiring manager's satisfaction because they're focused on outcome. They're coming in to actually deliver a project and to work across whichever sector, or they're a specialist also in the sector they're being brought into. So if you're looking at finance, bringing a finance person in, you could actually hire up and bring in a more senior person for that shorter amount of time to help your business solve those goals within that team. That person then moves out and you can hire someone in at a lower monthly cost, which then really helps the bottom of the line of the business. Same for HR transformation or projects, bringing someone in, or strategy, bringing someone in to set the strategy, to have the conversations, to do that. The thing is, you might not need that person at that level full time, but then you could bring someone in underneath on a permanent basis, which they can then train. So that's the overview of our business and the decoding of global talent and the move towards contingent workforce. At CXC, we've always been a specialist in contracting, anything across contracting, from MSP to payrolling, to finding contractors, managing contractors, being able to solve those business problems. From that, we saw an opportunity to really engage those workers globally. And recently, we've just launched a new product called Out of Office. Now, Out of Office is aimed at fractional workers. And if you haven't heard the word fractional yet, fractional means senior executives that may have retired or may have stopped working, but still open to working 2, 3, a week at a time, a month at a time. or if you like the term, the digital nomad. So out of office is a community for workers globally that anyone can work with. So we can find the person, for example, in Barbados. We can then make sure that they're employed right, and they're paying the right taxes, and that individual is then engaged with the business. So when this product will be global, if someone wants to move to Bali and they're a Python developer, they can actually get involved with their own community. They can be educated, and we can grow that out. Really making the talent global. So if you want to know more about out of office, please reach out today. So questions. Have we got any questions, Tina or Alan? Any kind of comments? Anyone want to ask any questions?
Hello. Yes, there's actually a few questions from the board at the
Okay.
moment. John Velasquez asking, "Hi, can CXC help my company hire for sites based in Mindanao and Visayas, which are on the south of the Philippines? Thanks."
Yes, we can. Is the answer.
What
Yes, we
type of-
can. I suppose my question to you, John, would be, who are you looking to hire? What kind of skill set are you looking to hire? When are you looking to hire? And we can, with better understanding, John, we can definitely help have that conversation. And also, would you be looking at contingent workers, permanent workers, and so forth?
All right. And then this is a very good question by JVC. Is it true that an outsourced talent gets less benefits than a direct hire talent in general?
Great question, Jay. So in Asia, it has been very prevalent that someone does get less benefits because they're a contractor and they get paid. So I'll give you an example. Australia, in Australia, being a contractor is a career choice. You get paid 20% more salary, you pay less tax, and you have the flexibility of work and you have your own business. However, in Asia, it's always been a kind of cultural thing for people to say, I want a permanent role. I want to work permanently. This is what I should need, and then I get benefits through that. What we have seen is it's really down to the company working aligned with someone like CXC to make sure those workers do get those benefits. So if we're doing what we call employee of record, EOR, the contract for a contractor can actually match that of an employee. But what we do is we always make sure that the workers have insurances, that they are covered, that they are getting that payment. It is getting better, Tina, in terms of those benefits. But this is probably the question, Adrian, we get asked the most from HR is how do we bring these people in? How do they feel part of our team? How do we feel part of the business? My thing is that treat everyone the same, and they will do. Just because they're a contractor, it doesn't mean they're any different, especially as if you're going with the view that this person could be actually a full-time employee in the future if they would want to be.
Mm.
Uh,
Well, it is
um,
true. Like in the Philippines, there's what you call it, like the security of tenure.
yeah,
We cannot just terminate a regular employee at will, not
yeah,
like in other countries. How does that affect the hiring in a way, right? Versus having a contractor and versus a regular employee. Given that maybe there is more job security or so versus
yeah.
a contractor that you can hire, and then when you don't need them anymore, then you can just like let them go.
Yeah, and that's probably why in other locations the contractor always had a loading on their salary, which was always a problem as well.
Oh,
Because an individual would say, permanent individual would be saying, well, they get paid more than me, but they would say, well, I've not got the benefits, right? The thing with
right.
them, we always want the worker to be protected and to be looked at. But if you're looking at some roles, for example, a project manager, they work a project, and then if there's not another project for them to do, what do they do? So
Right.
I suppose it's how we keep those. So some roles are more prevalent in contracting. But to ask your question, there is the risk of being a contractor, but with the Philippines, in Malaysia, in Thailand, Indonesia, you have very strong work rights, which is fantastic. In other countries like Singapore, Hong Kong, it's very much more aligned to other countries where people can make that decisions based on performance. I think from a HR standpoint, we all need to look at how our business is performing and looking at that outcome. And if you're looking at a new project that's coming in and that's going to put extra stress on your team, but you can't take permanent headcount, that's a great time to look at bringing in a
Right.
contingent workforce.
That's actually a very good insight that a lot of people think contractual workers have less benefit, but in truth, they do actually ask for more pay in a way because they do want to have that extra level of buffer slash security of
Yep.
being hired and being let go at will. So
Yeah.
it's a pro and con. It really depends on what type of company requirements you might have. But even if you pay them a little bit more, there are benefits in having contractual workers, as you've just mentioned, because when you need some when work can be seasonal, then there's a
Yeah.
reason why we should get that. We have a good question from John Velasco. Hi from QC. What's the difference between a contractor worker and a contingent worker?
To be honest, they're very similar. A contractor, in essence, a contingent worker is flexible work. A contractor would mean that, in the old sense, a contractor would be part of a consulting business or a business. I'll give an oil and gas example. They'll come in as a contractor to do a
Mm,
specific project.
mm.
Contingent is like your overall kind of thing, and then you have contractors, freelancers, gig workers, all these different terminologies just to make the world more complex. It
Yeah.
doesn't really mix, and every country calls it slightly different. So a good question, John.
The
Just
question
research.
here is from
Oh,
the
so
question is from Danny Rose Mastrano. Is there a difference between contractual work employee to project-based employee?
the answer to your question, we've got a bit of an echo, haven't we? I don't know if that's Alan. Um, the
For Alan?
Yeah. Hello? Okay, that's
Yeah,
okay.
okay, go.
Good question. Yes, there can be. So a contractor employee could be a project for or a contract for 12 months, for example. A project-based employee could be part of an SOW. So that's called statement of work, which is where, for example, CXC, we would come in and guarantee the amount of people on that project, and we would manage that whole team. Or it could be someone that manages time and materials. So they take the risk. So I'll give you an example. An SOW or a project-based employee is coming there to do a specific project. That team might take the whole risk from that. So they're saying they will do a SAP integration by a certain time. They'll do a quote for the whole project. So it can be slightly different. But on the whole, if it's just talking about the individual, it's pretty similar in terms of the contracts we have. If you ever want some any insight into different contracts, either between an MSA or an EOR contract, yeah, please, we're happy to kind of tell you more about that. But there can be a slight difference. Every kind of contract can be different. Every project can be different because it's what the client would require in terms of that. But on the whole, it can be very similar as a normal employment contract you give to um, the worker. It just has an end date on it.
Sir Alan, can you read the next question, please?
This is coming from Gio Acosta.
Hi,
He's
Gio.
asking. He said that regarding the problems you solve, what are the most common problems that Philippine companies face, since it can also vary per country or per region?
Mm. Good question, Gio. What we're seeing is in the Philippines currently, there's a war on talent. I would say attrition is probably the largest problem most businesses are facing, just because what we're seeing is that most candidates get not just one offer, probably three or four at this moment in time, maybe more, and it can be down to how much they're paid. But every single person we're working with now, we're working on a large project in Makati, is flexibility, location. Do they, what benefits they have to support that? Will, do they get support if they're working from home in terms of Wi-Fi, hardware, equipment, phones? And for those highly skilled people, it's highly competitive. So I'd say the main problem is that, and also you have got a slight probably talent vacuum currently. A lot of skilled workers are being moved overseas. Um, so they're moving, which is fantastic for the individual, a great experience. But the Philippines now has seen a place of fantastic talent. So more and more companies are coming in, and they're all trying to pull people into their businesses. So I think they're the main problems they face. Also, I'd say from a HR perspective, for the HR community to kind of help companies that are slightly behind in terms of technology, their systems, their HR, um, like the contracts, the benefits. I think there's still some businesses in the Philippines market, because it's such a large country, they're still kind of catch up. If someone's worked at Accenture, or they've worked overseas in different businesses, to come back, probably that some of those areas need to be supported, and to understand, to get the right systems and processes in place to support the workers.
I have a question.
Yep.
Um, the pandemic has accelerated the adoption of remote and hybrid work arrangements. So, how does this affect you as an HR consultancy firm in terms of adapting to the shift by finding talent that is comfortable with and suited to these new models? Would you like to
Good.
share?
Yeah, good question, Alan. CXC has always been quite a remote business, fortunately, because we spread so things. So our EMEA team, for example, are completely remote. We don't have an office space. In terms of how we've got around it, from a business perspective, is we offer flexibility, right, in terms of how people want to do. So that's CXC's own values, that we have a flexible work. We work regionally. People travel. People have regional roles. In terms of finding talent, it's about really looking at a business and really talking to them about what they can do in terms of remote. And I think you touched on probably the best word, Alan. It's not remote work. It's actually hybrid now. We're
Hybrid,
very much,
yes.
yeah, hybrid. We're in the world of people wanting 2 days at home, 3 days in the office. But from a HR perspective, everyone's still working on how they make that work for their business the best way. How individuals understand what it means to work as a hybrid worker. And like, for example, remote workers, we've had our own instances where we've worked with remote workers, and saying that actually as a remote worker you have to be even more diligent, more self-managing, because the only way that they're going to know you're doing your work is by looking at your performance, your KPIs, your output. So in an office, people can see you're really busy, but if you're not doing the administration side, you can't see it. So there's some nuances there. But if you look at the trends in the US and other companies, they're pushing everyone back to work in the office.
Right.
It's a bigger thing.
Why do you
But
think that that's a case? They've really made a big deal about remote working, and I remember many HR conference was talking about the future of
Mm.
remote working in the workplace. Like everyone thought it was a trend that was supposed to stay. And now in 2023, we see a lot of these companies, like they were saying, like Zoom is asking people to return back to work. Why do you think that's the case?
completely transparently, I'll give my honest answer. It's
Yeah,
output,
definitely.
output and outcome.
Mm,
Unfortunately, what we're seeing is actually it's declining. So
Oh,
companies are now, like, in the last year, 2023 has not been a good year for the world. Look at the Philippines, in Asia, companies are growing. But if you look at the financial performance of a lot of businesses in the last year, due to the market trends and wars that are happening across the world, they haven't been fantastic. So share prices are dropping, outcome is lower. They're reverting now to a lot more of a sales focus, because remote
money in.
things have, it's a money kind of component. But also what we've also seen is compliance and quality has dropped in some instances. So that line of sight management is years and years old, and people are wanting to bring it back. I think for the larger corporations, that's something that they're trying to push to try and get the people back. I think what they've also seen is that if someone's completely remote, the amount of loyalty someone has to a business it does decrease. There's no two ways about that, and that's due to the fact is they're working for a wage. I think we've all seeing the fact that if you're in an office, people become your friends, they become your family. You learn a lot by asking questions, and that way you kind of glue towards that business. So I think hybrid is a great solution. Fully remote is great for some work types and for some work individuals. But to your question, Tina, I think businesses are looking at business needs and looking at business performance, and if it's going down again year on year, and they're in a tough market, they're trying to push things forward.
I love your honesty, Richard, because not a lot of people would be as forthcoming as you are. And personally, like PHRG, the Philippine HR Group Facebook page, we've received a lot of inquiries of employees trying to get two types of remote work at one time. So they're doing
All right.
sidelines. So they're getting two works with sometimes overlapping times, and they're trying to find a way as to how not to get
Oh, wow.
detected.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
they'll
Okay.
accept two type of virtual work and they'll do it together. I mean, like, in a way, from a performance perspective, sometimes you could just work 4 hours on an 8-hour work day on the stuff that you need to do, and
Mm.
then just give a lot of excuses for not being able to finish it on time, when the truth is you're actually working for two employers. Both employers don't know anything about each other, and so a lot of the questions that we have is, how can we hide it, right? Because if the employers find out, then it's a terminable offense, because we're paying you for 8 hours, but actually you're not really working for us for 8 hours. You're working for us and somebody else. And
Okay.
yeah, productivity will definitely be halved. And this is the same question with Danny Rose Marciano. If remote work will be here to stay, then we might look after on how we measure employee productivity. But Danny
Mm.
Rose, this is what Richard was saying, that there is an some people can do remote work, some employees cannot.
Yeah.
That's why, like, it's so hard for companies to pick one over the other. So in order to be fair, then they just set a company policy that everyone has to follow, right?
Yeah, and,
So
and
Yeah.
that's
yeah.
the hardest bit is policy. Because if you're mandating 2 days, right? Actually,
Mm,
take a step back on one of your questions. If someone is saying that they have to work 8 hours, right? Say 8 hours is not an outcome. If true
mm,
remote workers will be get paid on outcome. So if
mm,
can do that work in 1 hour, it's done. So that's gig work. So that's what that
mm,
means. So gig work you're paid on. I will produce this in this certain amount of time. And I think if
mm,
someone's wanting to do lots of little remote jobs, that's actually okay. But you have to commit to the output, not the
mm,
hours. If you're saying I'm going to do 8 hours, you have to do 8 hours of work. That's the contract. So I think
mm,
it's upskilling people in remote work about the contract they're writing, the contract they're agreeing to. It's a permanent role when you're in a big office used to be you come in and they pay for your time is what they're paying for. Then they're paying for
right,
what you put in or the administrative task, all those things, and the outcome and the output is what comes out at the end. Um, but if you look and that kind of goes to the question again about how do we measure performance, you have to have very clear deliverables and outcomes set in that, and that can then in tune be very much aligned to what you are giving to people's goals within the organization. So if you're doing those regular, you probably have to have more regular catch-ups as well. So monthly or bi-weekly or even weekly in terms of this, or a lot of remote teams, for example, or first remote businesses, they do daily huddles where it's 15 minutes every day to 20 minutes. We actually do it as well from a sales perspective, just see what you're doing for that day. What do you want to affect? So you've got
right,
levers that you can control to get the outcome of the individuals, not micromanagement, but really just making sure it's a lot around
right.
communication, Tina and Alan. It's about being very, very clear on the communication you have with the individual of what the expectations are.
Sir
And
Alan,
make,
please read the next question.
okay, how fast does it take to recruit a contingent worker? I mean, it could be hours, to be honest. Um, so I can't hear you, Alan. Can you hear me, Tina?
Yeah,
Yes.
according
Okay.
to Diego Gonzalez Ramirez, he's asking how fast does it take to recruit contingent workers?
Yeah, so I think on that it can be as fast as in the day. Contracting has been around a long time. I remember when I first started in recruitment, people would ring up in the morning, you'd have a worker there by the afternoon, or
Hmm.
you'd have people on call. If you're looking for skilled workers, it's probably within 12, 24 hours. It depends on the project. from that perspective. But yes, it can be within a day. If the company you're working with has got a pool of candidates, of contracts, it can be exceptionally fast. So you can get that problem
Mm.
solved very quickly. I think where probably HR can help. I'll give you an example. Is when you've got high attrition in a team. And I'll just take finance as an example. Two or three people have left, and you're left with three or four, and they're having to pick up all the work of the other individuals because it's hard to hire the right person. Now, the more stress you're giving on those workers because they're being overworked, they're actually going to take the option of like they'll burn out and they could also leave. So, looking at contracts or a contingent work as a option to bring in and just get help and put some extra hands on it will really help your actual permanent employees as well, as an example. So you can use that pace, and they will also be thankful that the business is supporting them. So always look at it as an option for sure.
All right. So another question, how about trainings? Are outsourcing companies need to attend to its talents' technical needs to improve their skills, or is it their client's decision?
Mm, good point. So if you're looking at the outsourcing companies, the one thing about contractors that is probably the biggest gap is the kind of training side because permanent employees you get to go, they usually invest in you on kind of training courses, leadership, sales, all these different things. So one thing is with the rise of Udemy and LinkedIn training, there's a lot of online training that they can do now to actually keep their skills top of mind. Because if you're a developer, you have to keep growing and developing. We do a lot of technology. If you are a engineer or a renewable engineer, you have to have certain accreditations and keep them up, same as a CPA. So there's one thing you need to do that. So from that, from a company, if the client wants us to actually help with a learning management solution or a learning management software, we've done that to help those contingent workers. But it's really the client's decision if they want to help that individual or not. But as a business ourselves, for example, with out of office, that has a training component to it. So where we get discounts for those individuals to actually take courses to do that as well. In Australia, it's probably a lot more prevalent in terms of bringing contractors together for kind of training. If someone's on a long-term contract for a year, I would suggest definitely include them in those permanent trainings that you've got in the team because they're going to be more engaged and you're going to get a better outcome.
Right. So thank you, JVC, for that question. And here's another question, but we cannot name the person. Um, he he or she is asking, which would you prefer, hiring the right talents or building the right talent in a team?
Oh, okay. I had to read that a few times, Alan. So,
Which would you
as
prefer, hiring the right
maybe the right
talents or
talents or
building the right
building the right
talent in a
talent in
team?
a team. Oh, great question. I think I'm going to sit on the fence slightly and say I think it's a combination of the both. I think my philosophy is people that work is like be better, not bigger. I think having great talents is key. Coaching developed talent is the right. It depends on your timelines because if you've got a short timeline to achieve what you have, training will take a little bit longer. But if you don't have the right talent at the top to develop the team, it would be hard. So my philosophy is if you're looking at a workforce plan, find the talents that are probably a couple of stages up that you're missing in the team, hire one or two of those, and then make sure you're building that talent. There has to be a clear growth for those individuals, but you've also got to have the individual to train that in person. So I think it's a great question, but I think I would do both. I would hire the right talent, but I'd also make sure I'm building the right talent in the team.
Yeah.
How do you train leaders, Richard,
Yes.
in a global hiring landscape?
Yeah.
Because there's a cultural aspect, there's a difference of opinion aspect. Like, how can you even create a more cohesive company culture when workers are from different areas, different age groups, different demographics, different, past experiences? How can you make it work?
I think the culture of the business is very important to that to actually get people to a certain level because if the culture is right, it doesn't matter where they're from or how old they are and so forth. If they're embedded in the culture of your organization, they will all grow as well as that, because you'll see that. I think there's always going to be differentiators in age, skill set, and all those things. When I was doing leadership development and kind of training leaders, the one thing I saw when I created the programs that I kind of delivered was we get very high performing people in a team and go, you can be a manager. You're
Right.
you're you're the next leader. What we don't give them is the soft skills.
Right.
Any
Mhm.
the worst I always say to people when they say I'm a manager, you don't manage people, you lead people, and you should coach
Yes.
them. And actually, being a leader is that you're a teacher. You should be there
Mhm.
teaching the person below you to be better, which makes you look better, which makes the job better, which gets things done. So I think one of the key pieces is about cultures, and that is really working with people to, one, make sure that the goal that you're trying to achieve as a business is very clear, and what is their role in that to achieve that goal, and what do you need to them, but also having very open questions of what skills do you want to develop, because development is actually on the individual, it's not on the company to do. You have to be in charge of your own development because you have to come to the table and want to do it. So asking them where they want to achieve, giving some honest feedback of where you see are areas of improvement, but also how they can build those skills, because we have many different people of many different cultures in Asia. A lot of people are very can be quite introverted compared to extroverted, so they learn differently. So finding out the learning styles of the individual. Some people learn by doing, some by reading, some by actually, a combination of the both. So it's really understanding that as the individual, and then you can build peace together, but also empowering people to uh, take charge with their individuals and their teams. It's working with your leaders as HR professionals, coaching them on how to coach others is a big piece.
Right.
I
Um.
have a question.
Yeah, Alan?
Um, Richard, you mentioned a while ago that you can easily fill a job order within 24 hours, as long as I think you're talking about contingent workers, right?
Yeah,
Or contingent talent. Now, um, there is there's a trend right now, according to a lot of articles in the internet, that uh, as companies increasingly rely on technology and digital solutions, there is a
yeah,
growing demand for talent with digital skills. Skills like data analysis,
yeah.
cybersecurity, digital marketing. How does it affect you? Is it also easy to find talent with this skill set, or since this is rare as of now? I don't know what's the trend do you see right now.
Great point, Alan. You probably picked, yeah, the hot one of the hottest markets in the world is like digital. It's probably what we've seen is most projects globally at the moment around infrastructure, which is that kind of cyber data. Coming out of COVID and having people working remote, one of the things that most companies are fearing is the data side of their business. What's happening? Is it secure? What's going? Because there's been so many hits on companies. That talent, if you've got the money to pay, you will find it. If you you can find it, but what you're finding is a lot of companies are really restricted by their pay lines, for new roles, being restricted by the structure of the current business. So hard to find talent. You can find it, but if you're flexible on location, flexible on how they work, um, I mean, we still get very old practices where a hiring manager will say, well, I want someone with 5 years experience, and some of these technologies haven't been going 5 years. It doesn't exist. They can only have 2 years experience.
Yeah,
So I think of that. But yes, you can find them, but you've got to make your business an employer of choice, or the project to be
but
very exciting for the individual.
in your opinion, is there a scarcity or abundance of these kind of talents?
It's talent short, definitely talent short.
Yeah, talent short,
Yeah.
definitely.
So
So,
a consulting
uh,
company in the Philippines, for example, came to CXC asking to hire 700. Right.
right.
That's hundreds. Right.
So
And
I,
already,
It's yeah.
so I
yeah,
can
those.
see that this is an opportunity for professionals right now, that instead of just staying stagnant with the skill set that they have, they might as well invest in learning
Mhm.
data analysis, cybersecurity, and digital marketing on top of their skills. Do you
Yeah,
do you think
definitely,
so?
Alan. Yeah,
Okay.
or like from a HR perspective, anything around ESG, climate change, all
Yeah.
those things are going to come into the HR world, data especially. Data for talent is one of the biggest trends at the moment. Like, what are people doing? How do they working? How do you get the best out of people? So definitely upskilling is the key thing, Alan. I think also taking that on the other side, if you're looking from a HR and a learning management for people on this call, looking at your business currently and see if there's anyone you can upskill into the role rather than for hiring from outside. Because as you said, Alan, people can learn a new technology, and that means you're
Yeah.
actually super proofing your business and really investing in the next level of talent. If there's an area of the business that is actually going to be retrenched, or they've got skills that are very similar, but you can actually supplement them and put them through some training courses, why not?
Yeah. In connection to that,
Mm.
um, there is a growing trend now in terms of artificial intelligence, right?
Yeah.
So how does it affect your company?
Very good question. How is that? AI has affected us somewhat, mainly around probably the kind of analytics side. We haven't seen a large impact yet.
Mm,
But if you're looking at some of the technologies out there, it will affect certain skill sets massively. Like if you're a copywriter at the moment and you've got ChatGPT, it's pretty hard, right?
yeah.
If you write training courses, you can get a whole training course from an AI in seconds.
Yeah.
So but it isn't personalized. It still needs some work. So I think the way I look at AI, the way CXC looks at AI, it's part of one of our tools that we can use. It will never be the whole of our business, because we're a people business, and for HR and all this, you need these kind of people interactions still. But it's a definite tool that we can maximize. Especially like if you're doing some kind of market mapping or really understanding a market very quickly or a new product, it can be very, very good for that.
All right. Thank you for that.
No problem.
Yeah. There is a question here that says, what services does CXC offer? So it's a recap. And what type of organizations do you usually work with? Would you also like to know if there are certain industries that you cater to, especially?
Oh, thank you, Joey. Yeah, definitely. So the services that CXC offer, the best way to think of it is we've got three key product lines. The first product line is contractor payrolling. So we will find if a business comes to us and they're not in the country, we'll actually payroll or employ those workers. So that's employee of record. Or contractor payrolling, where for their contractors, they might want an outsourced payroll solution. They don't want to payroll that themselves. For example, with EY, I think you've all heard of EY, we do all their payroll for the whole of Europe for that freelancers because they don't sit inside their organization. So we do those kind of products. And then we also have agency of record, which is where we can employ a sole trader or a contractor that has their own company for that business. So that's one. Then the second pillar is our direct sourcing business. So what we have is our executive search, so we can do permanent hiring for you if you need it. We have our contracting business, so we can find contractors. We also have our consulting business that does SOW, that's full cost contracting. So we talked about where you might need a team of 25 developers. We'll find that team. We'll have a project manager manage them for you. They'll be on site. We'll guarantee that headcount for the life cycle of the project for the skill set you need. We also do MSP, so managed service providers. So we run that for multiple Fortune 500 brands globally. And that's where we have a team on site that manages the suppliers, so the recruitment companies or consulting companies sending talent into the business to make sure that the structure, there's efficiencies, that the business on the other end are getting the talent they want, and they don't have to manage multiple invoices, multiple clients. And then we also have recruiter on demand, which is where which we're doing in the Philippines currently, where if you have, you want to hire 100 people in 3 months, we can actually get a project together to support that and work with your TA or HR team. And then at the end, our third pillar is our tech stack, which is where out of office sits. We also have CXC Comply, which is a background checking compliance software for AOR. Google uses that globally for us. a number of other clients. And then also we have WEX, Workforce Exchange, which is a pool of contractors where clients can come in and out. That's mainly in Australia at the moment. In terms of client base, we mainly work with the Fortune 500. So larger corporations across the globe. So to name a few, if it's Australia, Macquarie Bank, Transurban, MBNco, EY, PwC, Deloitte, Google, Microsoft, IBM. A lot of our clients, GE Renewables, are more in the consulting and engineering. We historically haven't done a lot in financial services. I think that's primarily because they work a lot in kind of contracting. We work mainly in that technology space. So a lot of our contractors are technology, anything from developers all the way to project managers, but we also do a lot of work in the engineering sectors. So we call it grey collar, so skilled engineers. So, and especially in renewable energy, aviation, civil, all across those different areas. But if you'd like, I think her name is Joey. I'm happy to send a deck with all our logos on, but there's a lot. So
Yeah.
it's good.
So, Richard, we were talking about this last night and such that, decades ago, like a generation ago, most people would just apply in a company and work there for life, right?
Yeah,
And now, work wise, it's a lot more fluid. And it seems to me that there's a lot of people who choose not to work unless that type of company can give them a good deal
yeah,
that they actually, it's really like, I mean, like our parents worked all day all the time, and it seems now a lot of, as you've mentioned, there is a shortage of people and the job market. But at the same time, a lot of people seem to have that luxury of saying no to offers to wait for a better offer. Do you think that's the case globally? Or may right, like a lot of people in the US are complaining, for example, they can't find work, and yet you can see so many companies looking for people. Like, you always need
mm,
people.
yeah.
So where's the disconnect? Who
Ooh,
exactly is correct, right? Like, you see a lot of job ads, but you also see
yeah,
a lot of unemployed people who choose not to work unless it's a good deal for them.
yeah. True, Tina. I think that's a cultural question. I don't know if I'm qualified to answer that. I give you my opinion.
Right.
Um, I think what you see is where people are hiring, there's a skill shortage in some of the areas, right? So, and people, as Alan was saying, hasn't had the time to go and get those skill sets, or they
Okay.
haven't got the means to go and get that because while you're training, you're not getting paid. I think there's been a big change in what when I grew up, it was like I worked as a child, like not when a child, as a teenager, go out and get your first job, get your first paycheck. It was quite a thing. I think generations have changed of what they want to do. They want flexibility. They've found ways of making revenue without going to an office or a manufacturing site. They can make
Right.
money online. They can do Snapchat. They can do, I'm showing my age now, Instagram. They can do drop shipping. They can make money in many different ways. And, that's fantastic for the environment. But the historic ways of, join a company for one life, for your whole life, it's changed a lot. I often say to companies, if you get 2 years out of an individual now in that one job, you're doing very well. And if that person either gets promoted in that company or they'll move outside because they have options. And the world's getting smaller in how they get to go and do that. So I think it is, there is unemployment, and America's rife because they're stuck geographically because the jobs might not be anywhere near where they want to go. Also, it's asking, do people want to do those roles? So it's often, it'll be, if you look at every restaurant around the world at the moment, they can't find any servers, they
Right.
can't find anything. If you go to the hotels at the moment, they're massively understaffed. The airline industry can't find enough pilots and they can't find enough people on the planes.
Right.
And a lot of it's come from COVID because they laid everyone off. And then those people have now found other jobs because, there's roles out there today for both me, Alan, and you, Tina. They were never there when I like data analysts, cybersecurity. They're all brand new. There's new roles coming up all the time. And if you look at how people used to recruit. So, great example would be the Big Four. You'd hire a load of graduates, and this one would make it to partner. Graduates don't want to do that anymore. They're
Right.
having real trouble. They want diversity. They want to make an impact from day one. They want to
Right.
be able to also give back, look at sustainability, climate change. We have a very different world out there. So they'll make the choice that's what's right for them. They're also very
Mm.
brand conscious. If they will research your company so much before they apply. They will know your balance sheet. They'll know if you're sustainable. They'll know what's happened in the media. That it's a very different market. So I
Right.
think there's a cultural piece there, Tina. I don't know how we'll solve that, but yeah, I think it's a lot around making sure you've got the right brand, that you're a business that's an employee of choice, and they want to know people coming in that they're going to have a career path and what you're going to invest in them, not just the one way round. So it's very
Right.
interesting.
Before, everyone used to be more afraid of their employers, and now more people are increasingly walking away from employers who seem to be okay, but in their opinion, not good enough. So
Yeah,
it makes it very difficult to hire and to retain and recruit talent,
yeah,
right? Because you might be, like for me, recruiting a talent for 6 months is just me teaching the talent what to do. But in the rest of the 6 months, they're probably like the first 6 months, you're training them, and on the next 6 months, they're looking for a job.
yeah,
So their foot is already out the door, and pretty much like you actually have to offer them more money for something that you didn't really budget for in the first place, because originally the deal was, you were training these people because you expect them to stay longer,
yeah.
but it's
Yeah,
just a
it's true.
constant.
It's the old question, isn't it, Tina? Like they say, if you don't train, people leave. If you do train, they could leave. But the primary thing is always train, because you're going to get more value out of an individual that you do train in that time.
Right.
But yeah, but it is hard. I think people just got to be very open to new ways of working, very open
Right.
to new trends. And as a HR community or the talent community, we're at the forefront of it. We have to be able to explain to our senior leadership why it's changed, because the HR and TA already know. It's more speaking to people that did exactly that, joined a company, worked for them for 25 years. Their
Right.
mindset is that you should do this, and why has someone had more than 3 jobs in their life? So we have to educate. Our role in this space is definitely as educators, and being able to look at options and being flexible.
Mm. We're almost at the end of the show. Any
Okay.
last words, Richard, for you and CXC, and then Alan, and then I'm gonna close the show.
I suppose I'll just go to the last slide. From my perspective, firstly, thank you very much for this opportunity. It's been absolutely great to meet you, Alan and Tina. I'd love to see you when I'm next in the Philippines. I know the HR events coming up, which will be fantastic. At CXC, we're always happy to help. If you want any queries or anything about what we discussed today, please reach out to me, Richard Farmer, or Marlon Campu, who's our regional sales lead based in Makati. Please link in with us as well on our LinkedIn chat there. We're here to help. So if you need any help with any people or anything, please reach out to us. But it's been an absolute pleasure and a great way to spend a Sunday afternoon talking to you all.
Alan,
All right. Thank you so much for that. Um, somebody is giving, or rather, extending her or his gratitude to Sir Richard. Thanks, Sir Richard, to and also to Philippines HR Group team. Please feel free to reach us out for any people and
Marlon,
workforce related. Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah,
I
that's okay.
thought it's that. So, um, what do you call that?
any last
Yeah.
words, Alan?
Hello.
Any last
Uh,
words?
yeah. I'd like to invite people out there to watch out for our future announcements. We'll be coming out with our course number 2 for AI for HR. We've just finished the recruitment and talent acquisition course, and we'll be coming out with the next one that would be on the compensation and benefits, or the CNB. Okay, that's all, Tina.
I'd like to thank Richard Farmer for taking the time off his Sunday schedule to be part of the HR Cafe episode number 150. Thank you so much, Richard. And I think this is a good reminder for us that, in a way, Philippines is in a bubble. And the truth of the matter is, recruitment and talent management globally is so fluid and so out of this world that if you think you're familiar with it, the truth is you're not. And there's so many trends, cultural things that are happening. As what Richard has mentioned a while ago, a lot of the jobs that exist today did not exist a decade ago. A lot of the ways of working would not have been possible decades ago. Like this type of gig economy, contractual workers, like you couldn't pay people before to be a contractual worker because they thought that the benefits were less and there's no security of tenure. And yet we see an increasing number of contractual workers, not just locally, but globally, who are willing to work for you and your business just for the right price, the right culture, and the right fit. And I think that's a mind blowing concept that, you know, even in HR, when you think that everything is so standard and common, every year something new comes out. And we might blame the COVID-19 pandemic for creating many of these trends. But fact of the matter is, with or without COVID, it would have happened anyway. There's a lot
Mm.
of people who make a lot of money online, right? In many ways that were not possible, like drop, as Richard has mentioned, drop shipping, being an influencer, affiliate marketing. You don't really have to go work or commute to work just to earn an income for your family. A lot of people are willing to just stay at home, give a few hours of their time and still earn money. And I think that poses a challenge to many employers. We really
Mhm.
have to ask ourselves, what's in it for the people that we want to recruit that would make them stay? And I think before, employers used to be spoiled. People would knock on our doors and want to apply. I remember the times when I would apply to hundreds or thousands of employers, and they had the choice of picking you. Now it's not the same anymore, and it's the employee who collects all these offers and say, okay, which of these offers is the best one for me? And even if they start in your company, they can always say, well, it's really not a good fit, and then move on the next day. And this poses a lot of challenges. And I think it's very good for Richard to come and share with us all these trends because we've had a hint that these were going on. But hearing him and his experience in CXC shows it's a lot more serious than we thought. It's a lot more serious than we thought. And if employers don't change, then we might find ourselves short with talent. And we might blame, maybe the recruiter and say, well, you're not doing your job. But if the company doesn't offer anything in particular that appeals to talent, it's not always the recruiter's job, right? So it's a mind shift that employers need to change, need to be open that the world is different and they have to adjust if they want to attract and retain the best talent. And with
Yeah.
that, thank
Yeah.
you so much, everyone, for joining us this episode 150 at the HR Cafe, Usapang Trabaho Buhay Tiba Pa. May we invite you again to join us next Sunday at 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. as we feature another wonderful expert who can share with us free insights on the HR community. Thank you so much,
All
guys.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Cheers, everyone. Have a great
Thank you,
Sunday.
Sir Richard.
Bye.